It's one of those moments that gives you goosebumps. You know, the kind where a family secret, something tucked away for decades, finally gets its moment in the spotlight. That's exactly what happened on a memorable episode of Antiques Roadshow. A guest brought in a family heirloom, a piece of World War I history that had been hiding in plain sight, or, more accurately, in a box for 30 years. This wasn't just any old antique, though. This was a 1915 Ingersoll military wristwatch, a timepiece that held not only a story of family but also a fascinating, and at one point, a rather perilous secret. The guest shared with military expert Charles Turrell the story behind the watch, a tale that went back to his grandfather. It was originally my grandfather's, the guest began, explaining that his grandfather, being of German descent in the US during World War I, was prevented from having a firearm. So he purchased the wristwatch as a meaningful keepsake. It was a tangible piece of his service, something he could hold onto when he couldn't carry a weapon. It had been stashed away, untouched for decades, until curious grandkids stumbled upon it. That's when the plot thickened. The family discovered the watch had a radium face. Cue the dramatic music. The grandmother, understandably concerned about the potential risks, immediately put a stop to any playtime with the watch. It went back into its box, out of sight and out of mind for 30 years. The untold story of the wristwatch. As Charles Turrell took a closer look, he didn't just see a watch, he saw a pivotal moment in history. He explained that before World War I, wearing a wristwatch was practically unheard of for men. Pocket watches were the norm, and anything else was considered jewelry. But as the realities of trench warfare set in, pocket watches proved to be incredibly impractical. Can you imagine trying to check the time with a pocket watch in the middle of a conflict? It just wasn't going to happen. So soldiers, ever the innovators, started strapping their pocket watches to their wrists. And just like that, a trend was born. Manufacturers like Ingersoll caught on quickly, adapting pocket watch designs for wrist straps. This particular Ingersoll was a fantastic example of that evolution. It was, in essence, a pocket watch modified with a leather strap and a protective guard over the dial. But that wasn't the only thing that made it special. The watch also featured a black enamel dial, which was a strategic choice. While most dials were white, this anti-reflective display was much harder to see at night, offering a tactical advantage to the soldiers who wore them. Then there was the elephant in the room, the radium. The watch was even advertised on the box as having it. Charles explained that the radium, which had since faded to a brownish color, once gave the watch a vibrant glow, allowing it to be seen in the dark. The truth about radium. The guest and audience alike were probably holding their breath, wondering just how dangerous this watch truly was. Charles was quick to clear things up, revealing a fascinating and sobering detail. The radium wasn't actually harmful to the person wearing the watch. The real tragedy, he explained, was with the workers who made them. In a time before proper safety regulations, these timepieces were a hazard to the factory painters. Imagine this. Ladies would paint the dials by hand, using a small brush. To get a fine point, they would often point the brush by licking the tip, dipping it into the radium, painting the numbers, and then licking it again. It was a terribly dangerous practice that had severe health consequences for those involved. Thankfully, this specific watch was in remarkably good condition. Charles noted that most military watches from that era were either destroyed in combat or worn out completely. The fact that this one survived, along with its original box, was a huge plus. The big reveal. With all the history and context laid out, it was time for the moment everyone was waiting for, the valuation. Charles highlighted the watch's significance, not just as a timepiece but as a historical artifact, a key piece in the evolution of watches. The pristine condition and the fact that it still had its original box made it a truly special find. Value-wise, Charles began, his voice calm and measured, if it were to sell at auction today, you'd be looking at a number around $1,000. The guest's reaction was immediate and priceless. A genuine, gobsmacked laugh escaped him as he took a moment to process the news. He looked down at the watch, then back at Charles and said with a chuckle, "Okay. I'm pleasantly surprised, considering that the price on the box is $4.50. It was the perfect punchline. A watch purchased for a few dollars back in 1915 had, over the course of a century, grown into a valuable piece of history, a testament to both the past and the incredible stories that our family treasures hold.